What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, a part of you already knows exactly how your life will end? Not in some magical or mysterious way, but with complete clearness. What if I told you that before you were even born, your soul talked with the universe and said, "Yes, this is how I want to leave. This is the lesson I need to learn." Sounds impossible, right? Maybe even a little scary. But here's what's even more amazing. According to one of the most well-known psychics in human history, not only did your soul choose your death, it chose it for a reason so beautiful, so perfect that if you truly understood it, you'd never be afraid of dying again. The journey begins. It all begins with a man who could see what others couldn't. Edgar Cayce wasn't trying to become famous. He wasn't looking for followers or starting a cult. He was just a photographer from Kentucky who discovered something that would change how we understand life, death, and everything in between. When Cayce entered his trance states, what he called his readings, something amazing happened. He could access what he called the Akashic records. Think of it as the universe's computer. Every thought you've ever had, every choice, every life you've lived, all saved in this cosmic library that exists outside of time and space. And in these records, Cayce found something that challenges everything we think we know about death. Your death isn't random. It's not mean. It's not meaningless. It's chosen by you before you were born. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone choose suffering? Why would a soul choose pain, sickness, or tragedy? And that's exactly where this gets interesting. Because to understand the answer, we need to completely change how we think about death itself. Deeper into the mystery. According to the thousands of recorded sessions Cayce did, your soul exists in multiple dimensions at the same time. The part of you sitting here right now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a higher self, what Cayce called the superconscious, that exists beyond physical reality. This part of you never forgets the plan, never loses sight of the bigger picture. And here's where it gets deep. This higher self doesn't see death the way your conscious mind does. To your eternal soul, death isn't an ending. It's a doorway, a graduation, a moment of change that was carefully, purposely chosen to help your soul's growth. Think about that for a second. Really let it sink in. Let me share something that will blow your mind. In 1923, Cayce gave a reading for a woman terrified of dying in childbirth. Her mother had died that way, her grandmother too. She was convinced it was her fate. Cayce told her, "The pattern you see is not a curse but a choice that no longer helps. Your soul carried this fear from ancient Rome, where you were a midwife who lost many mothers. You blamed yourself. You chose to experience that death yourself in 2 lifetimes to understand. It wasn't your fault, but that lesson is complete. You will live to see your children's children." She had 4 children, all healthy births. She died at 89, surrounded by grandchildren. This is the power of understanding your soul's choices. Sometimes just knowing breaks the pattern. Before being born, your soul reviews what Cayce called your karmic debt, but not in the way you might think. This isn't about punishment or paying for past mistakes. It's about balance. It's about experiencing the full range of human life to achieve complete understanding. Imagine you're an artist, and you've spent lifetimes painting only in blues and greens. Beautiful paintings, sure, but incomplete. Your soul might choose a life and yes, a death that introduces reds and yellows, not because you're being punished for avoiding those colors, but because your masterpiece isn't complete without them. Here's a specific example from Cayce's actual readings that still gives me chills. He once told a woman that her fear of water in this life came from drowning in a previous life. But here's the twist. Her soul chose to come back with that fear, not as punishment, but as protection while she worked on other lessons. The fear would naturally go away when she no longer needed it. And her death in this life, it would have nothing to do with water, because that lesson was already learned. But Cayce revealed something even more amazing. He said that between lives, souls gather in what he called soul groups. Groups of beings who are born together, repeatedly playing different roles for each other's growth. Your mother in this life might have been your daughter in another. Your worst enemy might have been your beloved spouse. The person who betrays you might be your soul's best friend, playing the villain so you can learn forgiveness. And death? Death is when the whole soul group meets backstage between acts, laughing about their performances, planning the next play. One man came to Cayce troubled by repeating dreams of being burned alive. Cayce's reading revealed he had been a judge during the Salem witch trials, who had sentenced innocent women to burn. His soul chose to experience that death in a previous life to understand what he had caused. But here's the beautiful part. This current life, his death would be peaceful, surrounded by many of the souls he had wronged, now returning as loving family members to show him forgiveness. The man broke down, crying. He said the dream stopped that very night. His soul remembered. The lesson was complete. Your soul is constantly choosing experiences, including how you'll exit this world based on what will best serve your growth. Now, if this connects with something deep inside you, if you feel that flutter of recognition in your chest, I want you to do something for me. Hit that like button, not for the algorithm, though that helps, but as a way of acknowledging to yourself that you're ready to hear these truths. And if you're really feeling this, drop a comment below, even just a heart. Because when we share these moments of awakening, we create a community of souls remembering together. The 3 types of death choices. As I dove deeper into Cayce's readings, I discovered something fascinating. According to his insights, souls generally choose one of 3 types of death experiences, and understanding which one you might have chosen can bring incredible peace. These aren't just theories. They came from thousands of actual readings, real people, real deaths, real soul choices documented over 43 years. The first type, the completion death. This is when a soul has finished everything it came here to do. Every lesson learned, every karmic thread woven. These are the people who seem to glow in their final days, who talk about feeling ready without sadness. You've seen this, haven't you? That grandmother who waited until all her children visited one last time. That friend who seemed to know somehow that their time was near, and spent their last week saying all the things that needed to be said. Let me tell you about one of Cayce's most remarkable readings. A 78-year-old man came to him terrified of death. He'd been having dreams about passing away. Cayce went into his trance and came back with this message. You have completed the cycle. You taught patience to your son through your stubbornness. You taught forgiveness to your daughter through your mistakes. You taught unconditional love to your wife through your imperfections. The dreams aren't warnings. They're invitations. Your soul is preparing you for graduation. The man died 6 months later, peacefully in his sleep. His family said he spent those final months as the happiest they'd ever seen him. He knew, his soul knew. And once his mind accepted it, fear changed into anticipation. But here's what's remarkable about completion deaths. They often come with what Cayce called the gathering. Right before someone dies, family members feel pushed to visit. That cousin who hasn't called in years suddenly shows up. That angry sibling makes peace. This isn't coincidence. It's soul planning. The second type, the catalyst death. And this one is harder to accept. These are deaths that seem too early, unfair, tragic. The child who dies young, the parent taken too soon, the sudden accident that leaves everyone asking why. But Cayce's readings revealed something deep. These souls often choose these exits not for their own growth, but as catalysts for others. They are advanced souls who volunteer for difficult exits because they know the deep change it will create in those left behind. A woman came to Cayce destroyed by the loss of her 5-year-old daughter to illness. She was suicidal. Cayce's reading revealed this. The soul you knew as your daughter was your teacher in ancient Egypt. She came for 5 years not to be taught but to teach. Her illness was not punishment but purpose. Watch what grows from this grief. Watch who you become. The woman went on to establish one of the first grief support groups in America. She helped thousands of parents. Her daughter's death wasn't meaningless. It was the catalyst for a movement of healing. Think about it. How many people do you know whose entire life path changed after losing someone? Who found their purpose, their strength, their compassion through grief? Steve Jobs said his cancer diagnosis was the best thing that ever happened to him. It led to his greatest innovations. His death led to a revolution in how we think about technology and humanity. These souls are heroes in the truest sense. They chose the hardest role so others could awaken. The third type, the liberation death. These are souls who chose particularly difficult life circumstances, severe illness, disability, intense suffering for faster spiritual growth. Their death becomes a liberation, a joyful return home after completing an especially challenging assignment. One of Cayce's most deep readings was for a man whose son had severe cerebral palsy. The boy couldn't speak, couldn't walk, required constant care. The father was bitter, asking, "Why us?" Cayce's response: "This soul was a spiritual teacher in Atlantis who misused his power. He chose this life of complete physical dependence to learn humility and to teach you unconditional love. His death, when it comes, will be his victory march." The boy died at 17. In his final days, despite being unable to speak, his eyes showed such peace that nurses would visit on their days off just to sit with him. He was teaching without words. When you see someone suffering, remember this might be a master soul wearing the disguise of struggle. Their death isn't defeat, it's victory. These liberation deaths often come with what Cayce called the lightning. In the final days, the person suddenly becomes peaceful, even joyful. The veil starts lifting before the transition. The great remembering. Cayce described something beautiful that happens at the moment of death. He called it the great remembering. As your consciousness transitions from physical to spiritual, the veil lifts. Suddenly you remember everything. Not just this life, but all your lives. Not just your plan, but why you made it. Not just your death, but its perfect purpose in your soul's journey. In that moment, Cayce said, there's no fear, only understanding. Only the recognition of a job well done, a role well played, a lesson well learned. People who've had near-death experiences often describe this. The life review, the sudden understanding, the overwhelming feeling that everything, even the painful parts, was exactly as it needed to be. One of Cayce's most deep readings was for a mother who had lost her child. She was destroyed by grief, unable to understand why. In the reading, Cayce revealed that her child's soul had volunteered for a brief life specifically to awaken her spiritual gifts. The child's death wasn't a tragedy from the soul's perspective. It was a graduation with honors. The mother's grief changed into something else, still painful but now purposeful. She went on to become a healer, helping hundreds of other grieving parents. Her child's death became the catalyst for her life's work. This is the secret your soul knows. Death is never the end of the story. It's a chapter transition in an eternal book. Why this matters right now. So why am I telling you all this? Why does it matter that your soul chose how you'll die? Because understanding this changes everything about how you live. When you truly grasp that your death was chosen by you for your highest good, fear begins to dissolve. Not overnight, not completely at first, but slowly, steadily, the terror of the unknown transforms into trust in the known. Think about what you're afraid of right now. Is it illness, accidents, loss? What if I told you that whatever you're afraid of, your soul has already planned for? That there's a part of you that's already navigated this, already chosen the perfect exit for your growth. This doesn't mean you should be reckless. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take care of yourself. But it does mean you can stop living in fear of the inevitable. It means you can stop wasting precious life energy, worrying about how your story ends, and start focusing on how it unfolds. Living in fear doesn't prevent death, it prevents life. The final message. Edgar Cayce's greatest gift wasn't just revealing that your soul knows how you'll die. It was showing us that this knowledge exists not to frighten us, but to free us. Every spiritual tradition hints at this truth. But Cayce gave us the details. He showed us the 3 types of death choices. He explained the soul contracts. He revealed the great remembering that awaits us all. If this message connects with you, if something deep in your soul whispers yes to these truths, then you're ready for the next level of awakening. You're ready to stop living as if death is the enemy and start living as if life is the gift. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone struggling with fear, someone dealing with loss, someone ready to remember what their soul has always known. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because this is just the beginning of what we're going to explore together. Remember this, death is not the opposite of life. It's the completion of it. It's the moment your soul has been preparing for since before you were born. Not with dread, but with the anticipation of an actor who knows the perfect ending to their perfect performance. You chose your entrance and you chose your exit. Both are sacred. Both are perfect. Both serve your soul's magnificent journey through eternity. Your soul knows how you'll die. Now it's time for your mind to remember how to live. Trust the plan. Trust yourself. Trust your soul. Because the mystery isn't how you'll die. The mystery is how magnificently you'll choose to live until that perfect moment arrives. And that mystery, that's entirely up to you.